with all due respect, Mr. Elliott, I've waited almost a year just to come and look at your face. And the reason is because whatever I've been hearing today, it's just nauseating. It's nauseating that you guys all play psychological warfare onto people. Whenever there is something that has to do with an issue, you gaslight, you deviate, you defer, and you do this with people to nth degree. I'm one of your customers, and I had so many problems with a loan, and I've tried for 2 years to get ANZ to look at all the documentation that I had, all of which pointed to the fact that there were 2 things that happened, one of which was fraud, and the other one was irresponsible lending. And when you guys are all sitting here just doing stuff that has to do with just blowing your own trumpet about the fact that ANZ is just such a wonderful company, such a wonderful corporation, doing all these things for their shareholders, when all of that is on the piggyback ride of Australian people like myself who pay the bank a lot of money every month, and all of that has been done through fraud and through irresponsible lending. And that's not on, Mr. Elliott. I wanted to come and see your face because I have communicated with you a number of times, and you've dismissed me.
Thank you.
Send me to an array of... No, listen, I'm going to finish now because I've been sitting here for 2 hours.
So,
and with freedom of speech, I have the right to speak
have you got
and
a
to
question?
tell the truth. Yes, I do have
Okay. Would you like to ask it? Because I want to make sure other people get their chance as well.
The question is, you keep saying that you do all the relative stuff that you need to do in order to check the loans, and I can assure you that I have volumes and volumes of paperwork to prove that ANZ Bank never did any of that. They've inflated documents, they have done fraudulent documentation, so you don't do any of that stuff. So could you please stop doing or saying to people that you do that stuff when in fact you do not do that? And could you please stop gaslighting and doing psychological warfare, because not everybody is stupid, not everybody is dumb, and not everybody can just take whatever you say as gospel. And I'm one of those people. I spent two years communicating with the bank, and I'm quite happy to come and show you all the documentation. You've done stuff that is against the National Credit Act Protection Code and ASIC Regulatory Guide, and then the story keeps going on.
So I can tell you're obviously quite upset, but can you help me understand?
Well, yes, I am
what specifically is the question?
Because I lost my home in the process.
So
and as a woman in my 60s and not having somebody accountable, you guys can all look so pretty up there because you're sitting in positions of power, and it's enough already. There's millions of people out there at the moment suffering. They are suffering because there are all these dealings, these shady dealings that are going on behind the scenes that banks do, and you guys all know what we're talking about because you guys that are sitting at the top there, you know what that is.
So
okay, all the securitizations.
I'm sorry to hear about your experience.
Yeah, you should be sorry.
Okay.
You should be sorry.
Right. Thank you for raising it.
My question is, are you willing to come and have a talk to me personally to have a look at all the documents that I have instead of delegating responsibility to brokers and stuff that you've done online and the things that you do with people that you never tell them that you do?
I'm happy to ensure that you have a meeting with our customer fairness advisor if that will help.
Mr. Elliott, why didn't you actually ever deal with my issue when you said in one of your interviews, you said you would deal with specific issues? Why didn't you ever deal with this issue?
Look, I understand that you're upset, but as I said at the beginning of the meeting, we're not going to handle individual customer complaints in the room. No, because the AGM is for shareholders to ask questions about the bank and not to resolve individual customer complaints. And I understand it's distressing, and I'm happy to see if we can arrange for you to have a meeting with our customer fairness advisor, and I'll personally track and make sure that I understand what happened there. All right, thank you. Thank you.
I'm speaking here for the millions of Australians whose lives you guys are destroying, okay? And if there is investors here who can make a wonderful, wonderful profit, it's over the piggyback ride of millions of Australians that are losing their homes because everything that you do is not above board.
And I think...
somebody needs to speak about this.
Okay, I think you've made your point. Thank you. Okay, I'm now going to go to microphone number 2.
Thanks, Chairman. We have a question from George Bournemouth from Brisbane.
I think, could I ask that you allow the other shareholders to exercise their right to ask questions? Thank you. I'm sorry to hear about your experience. All right, thank you for your question. Okay, over to microphone number 2.